It was a crisp autumn afternoon when four friends, Emily, Jason, Sarah, and Mark, decided to go hiking in the woods just outside their small town. The forest had always been a place of adventure for them as kids, but now, years later, it held an air of mystery and a tinge of fear. The sun hung low in the sky as they trekked deeper into the woods, their laughter echoing among the trees. They followed a narrow path that twisted and turned, leading them further away from the familiar trails. Jason, always the daredevil, suggested they explore a part of the forest they had never ventured into before. "Come on, it'll be fun," he urged, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Reluctantly, the others agreed, and they veered off the beaten path. The deeper they went, the denser the forest became. The towering trees seemed to close in around them, their branches intertwined like skeletal fingers. The air grew colder, and an eerie silence settled over the woods, broken only by the crunching of leaves underfoot. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows, they stumbled upon an old dilapidated cabin. Its windows were broken, and the door hung askew on rusted hinges. Despite the unease that settled in their stomachs, curiosity got the better of them. "Let's check it out," Mark suggested, already moving toward the cabin. Inside, the air was stale and musty. The floorboards creaked under their weight as they explored the single, dimly lit room. Old furniture lay scattered, covered in a thick layer of dust. On the far wall, they noticed strange symbols carved into the wood, symbols that none of them recognized. Emily shivered. "We shouldn't be here, let's go back." But as they turned to leave, the door slammed shut with a force that sent a chill down their spines. Jason rushed to the door, pulling and yanking, but it wouldn't budge. "Guys, I don't think we're alone," Sarah whispered, her eyes wide with fear. A cold breeze swept through the cabin, extinguishing the small beam of light from Jason's flashlight. In the darkness, they heard a soft whispering, like the rustling of leaves, but more sinister. "Who's there?" Mark called out, his voice trembling. The whispering grew louder, more insistent. The symbols on the wall seemed to glow with a faint, eerie light. Suddenly, Emily screamed. She pointed to the corner of the room where a shadowy figure stood, barely visible in the darkness. The figure moved forward, its form becoming clearer. It was a woman, her face pale and gaunt, eyes hollow and dark. Her mouth twisted into a ghastly grin as she raised a skeletal hand, pointing at them. "You shouldn't have come here," she hissed, her voice echoing unnaturally. Panic set in. They scrambled to find an escape, but the cabin seemed to shift and change around them. Walls stretched and contracted. The floor seemed to ripple like water. The whispers turned into a cacophony of screams. Desperation gave them strength. Jason managed to break a window, and they clambered out one by one, tearing their clothes and skin on the jagged glass. They ran blindly into the forest, the screams still echoing in their ears. When they finally emerged from the woods, panting and covered in scratches, the sun was rising. They never spoke of the cabin again, but the nightmares lingered, a constant reminder of the terror they had faced. Years later, as the friends grew older and drifted apart, the memory of that night never faded. Some nights, when the wind howled and the trees whispered, they could still hear the faint sound of that sinister laughter, echoing from the depths of the woods.